I will explain the alternate assessment I want to do for electrical energy utilization, and probably you can keep this one as a reference to develop an alternate assessment for your own module before we discuss subsequently. Okay, for this module, if you look at there, so there are 4 LVOs. There is LVO1, is a LVO2, is a LVO3, and the LVO4. So the LVO1 is main to do an explanation. The topic is on braking, right? LVO2 is on the evaluate part. The topic is on welding. LVO3 is on analyze. The topic is on illumination and motor rating. And LVO4 is on investigate, and the topic is on illumination, braking, and also power rating, motor power rating. So if you look here, LVO4 is actually converging for LVO1 and LVO3 together. So when we look at the final examination first, so I want to converge all these 3 together, LVO1, LVO3, LVO4 together as one case study, a bigger case study that can give an opportunity for the students to do an explanation followed by an analysis section, and also towards investigating the problem, right? So this is for one final exam question. The other one is also final examination covered is the LVO2, which is talking about the welding, right? It is standalone on its own, so you can come up with another case study or an assignment based final examination. So these two together will give you the final examination component. Okay, the next question is like how you want to develop this case study. I think this one we will discuss when we are going to do one-to-one, because this one depends upon the nature of the subjects you are going to handle. So probably we'll come up with some sort of solution during the one-to-one discussion. So this is for the final examination as it is. For example, the other assessment component for this LVOs is for test 1, for example, LVO1 in LVO2 is covered. So probably you can come up with a quiz, or probably you can come up with some sort of online test that can support for this test 1. The other component is some lab. Lab is all the labs are covered under the LVO4. So how I will do this lab, because lab essentially need to have a psychomotor component, right? So in this subject, because we are using energy utilization, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to ask the students to come with their energy meter reading and classify the load of their own home as lighting load and also the power load, right? Then analyze the energy consumption for a particular time period, probably a week times or something like that. So this will enhance them to have the psychomotor, and they can work on their own here. So one drawback is like this one might not be doing as a group work there. Okay, so this one will cover the lab 1 and lab 2. Lab 3 essentially we will do a thermal model. The thermal model that can I give them the breakdown of the thermal model, ask them to analyze, investigate what should be the probable cause, and using simulation to come up with some sort of analysis results from there. Lab 4 essentially I will be doing a practical demonstration in the laboratory in our lab, in our power lab, and we will give the readings for the students to investigate the performance of the pump system. As you know that there is a pump system there, finding the difference between using a DOL and the VFT based on the data we are going to give. So if you look from here, there is some sort of a psychomotor there in the first part, which can support that the lab has shown a psychomotor component there. Okay, so this one is the lab 1 is done already, test 1 is done. One more thing is the assignment is the one more component. The assignment is actually covering the topic 1, 2 and 3. Sorry, 1 and 3 is the 1, 2 and 3 is the assignment component here. So once again you can split into two different assignments here. This assignment carries 15 marks. That means I will use 7% of the marks to integrate LO1 and LO3 talking about the motor braking system. So this will give me an one assignment 1, and welding on its own is another assignment 2. So this will carry 8% of the mark, and this will carry 7% of the mark, which carry for the 13% of the mark here. So now we see here the test 1 is done, the assignment is done, the lab is done, and the final examination is done. Okay, the next one is like you need to cover our we have already mapped the learning outcome to the program outcome. So we have to make sure that the learning outcome and the program outcome is also aligned with what we need to do. So in this module, if you look back the LO-PO mapping, the LO1 is actually mapped to PO1. PO1, as you know, that it is an application of engineering sciences, so it should be okay. You can see from your assignment already. Even for the final exam also, you are going to apply some mathematical equation, should be okay. PO2 is formulation. Formulation is covering for LO2 and LO3, which is PO2, which is formulation, formulate a theory or formulate some sort of hypothesis. So this one also can easily cover either in the case study or in the assignment, or you can also map it to the LO3 when you are integrating the LO3, LO4 and LO1 for the case study 1, which will be the final examination done. So this is okay. And of course investigation is the PO4, lab is mapped to PO4, which is investigation, which is reflecting back in the labs, and also the case study you are going to do here. Okay, so this one is done here, but when you formulate the question, like for example what this case study need to be, what this case study 2 need to be, that is where we have to be careful in looking into your program outcomes as a whole. So typically this case study 1 need to be very in-depth, because it is covering LO1, LO3 and LO4, which is covering PO1, PO2 and PO4. So that's why this case study probably can have about 60% of the mark, or even more than that mark, and this case study 2 can carry about 40% of the final examination mark. So this is how you have to balance out so that the total assessment is fair enough. The next one is like how do you distinguish between the good student, like how to have the depth level. So I suggest you to come with when the investigation is there, you come up with each step. Certain steps are very intricate for the very bright student or the very top students can answer. So there should be some distinction between easier question, like you just need to follow the bell curve where everybody can answer a few part. A certain percentage of the people can answer for the good one, and certain people need to really apply what the concepts they have learned in the classrooms. So I think this would have given you a good picture for you to understand. If you have any questions, you can ask on this one, or the best way is like you like the similar to how I do, you try to do for your individual module before we start to discuss one-to-one subsequently. Thank you guys.